A better than expected snapshot of the economy and an encouraging view from the Fed spur investors to bid up stocks. The Dow gains 90 points and the Nasdaq closes up 19.
A brand new Vista for Microsoft. Tomorrow, the software giant rolls out its biggest software release in years. A new operating system and a new suite of Office programs. Tonight, a preview of what to expect.
There's a growing tide of new approaches to alternative energy. We look at how tidal power itself could power up part of New York City as our special series, Power Struggle, continues.
And speaking of alternative energy, our street critique guest looks at investment opportunities in just that area. She's Hillary Kramer, personal finance editor at AOL.com.
I'm Paul Kangas.
And I'm Susie Garup. This is Nightly Business Report for Wednesday, November 29th.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by
Is your nest egg in shape for retirement? Objective financial advice can help. A.G. Edwards, for more than 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
Franklin Templeton Investments, providing a unique perspective through the specialized investment expertise of Franklin Templeton Mutual Series and Fiduciary Trust. Franklin Templeton Investments, gain from our perspective.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Stocks on Wall Street rallied today on encouraging reports on the economy. The Dow jumped 90 points and the Nasdaq rose 19. Most of the buying followed the afternoon release of the Federal Reserve's Beige Book, which showed moderate economic growth in most regions of the country. Investors also applauded news this morning that the nation's gross domestic product grew 2.2% in the third quarter, well ahead of the earlier estimate of 1.6%. But new home sales fell 3.2% in October, the biggest drop in 3 months. However, the median price of those homes rebounded, up almost 2% to more than $248,000. Joining us now with more analysis on those economic numbers, Stuart Hoffman, chief economist at PNC Financial Services Group. Hi, Stuart.
Hi, Susie.
So as you look at all of these economic numbers, what do they tell you about the economy? What kind of shape is it in?
Oh, I think these numbers smack of the so-called soft landing. Clearly, growth has slowed down. It's not growing at 3 or 3.5% as it was the last couple of years. Housing is certainly a drag, and it probably hasn't hit the ground floor yet. But the overall economy is doing well. The Fed's Beige Book from around the country, anecdotal grassroots information, says consumers were spending, houses were weak, autos were weak, but the rest of the economy, particularly the service sector, seems to be doing quite well.
All right, well, as you said, housing was weak, and so far this year, new home sales are down 25%. We saw today oil prices notching up. They're now at $62 a barrel. So what do those factors mean for growth in the fourth quarter?
I think economic growth this quarter for real GDP will be about the average of the last two, somewhere around 2.25% to 2.5%. That seems to be the kind of slowdown that would define a soft landing. Inflation in those numbers last quarter were a little better than they were in the summer. And of course, with the huge drop in energy prices, even with oil back up to $62, gasoline prices, other commodity prices are down, means inflation is going to be very good this quarter. So it's a pretty good picture and certainly music to stock investors' ears.
As we saw today. Do you think then these numbers fit into the view that Ben Bernanke delivered in his talk yesterday?
Yes, and I expect the chairman might have had a little heads up on the GDP number being revised up. He's described an economy where the risk on inflation is still to the upside, and that's what a Fed chairman and other Fed members are supposed to say and do. But it looks to me as though if their forecast of slower core inflation in 2007, with which I agree, looks like a pretty good one, as well as growth, economic growth and job growth a bit below trend, but not snowballing. We don't have an economy that's snowballing down some slippery slope to a hard landing or a recession.
All right, last question. We pretty much have a consensus from street economists that the Federal Reserve will stand pat on interest rates when they meet in 2 weeks. But what about in 2007? Where do you stand? Rate cut or rate hike?
I stand in the rate cut camp. I don't think it'll occur until near mid-year, so we have the Fed funds rate at 5 1/4 growing roots. They are going to be there for a while, but I think the Fed will kind of do some root canal and cut the Fed funds rate starting around May or June of 2007 and bring it down 25, maybe 50 or 75 basis points, closer to that over the second half of next year.
All right, we'll hold you to that and we'll check in again. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on the program, Stuart.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Stuart Hoffman, Chief Economist at PNC Financial Services Group.
Stock prices moved steadily higher this morning. That GDP upward revision sat well with investors, as did a rebound in the dollar. At noon, the Dow posted an 85-point gain and the Nasdaq Composite was up 20 points. The rally eased as oil prices surged, but that Beige Book report dispelled fears of a hard landing, helping stocks end on a strong note. The Dow Industrial Average closed up 90.28 points at 12,226.73. The Nasdaq Composite was up 19.62 at 2432.23. Standard & Poor's 500 index gained 12.76, ending at 1399.48. In the bond market, the 10-year note fell 5/30 seconds to par and 26/30 seconds, putting the yield at 4.52%.
Ford Motor is losing almost half of its unionized employee base. The automaker said today about 38,000 or 46% of its hourly workers have accepted buyouts or early retirement. Ford is trying to cut costs due to lower demand for its vehicles. The payroll will begin shrinking in January when the first of the buyout packages take effect. Meanwhile, rival General Motors is rolling out a hybrid electric and gasoline power system for its Saturn Vue sport utility vehicle. The prototype was unveiled today at the Los Angeles Auto Show and is being called the Green Line. The new vehicle is expected to deliver up to 45% better mileage in highway and city driving than the current non-hybrid Vue. Hybrid vehicles have both electric and gasoline power systems with batteries that can be recharged by plugging them into an electrical outlet.
Cars were in the spotlight at the U.S. Supreme Court today, specifically car and truck emissions. In what could be a landmark case on global warming, the justices are being asked to decide whether the Environmental Protection Agency is right to refuse to regulate greenhouse gases as air pollution. Massachusetts and 6 other states want to force the EPA to put carbon emission restrictions on new cars. The justices appeared split over whether Massachusetts is facing the type of imminent threat required to sue. The Commonwealth's lawyers say the damage is ongoing.
Massachusetts owns 200 miles of coastline that is being inundated by rising seas. That harm is occurring today, and it's going to happen tomorrow and get worse as greenhouse gases continue to accumulate in the atmosphere.
But the Bush administration argues the science surrounding global warming is still too uncertain for the EPA to act. The administration claims the EPA can't take action because Congress didn't intend for the Clean Air Act to be used to fight global warming.
Well, the importance of clean air is a key driver in the research and development of new and renewable energy sources. This week, our special series Power Struggle is looking at the search for those sources. Tonight, Stephanie Dew looks at a project hoping to generate renewable energy from the ocean's tides and the struggle to prove that technology will work.
This is where the East River passes New York City's Roosevelt Island. This area is also home to a test project for renewable energy. 10 feet below the surface, turbines will soon be installed that will harness the tides to generate electricity.
The operational performance as well as the environmental performance.
Ron Smith is the CEO of Verdant, the company behind the project. His goal is to prove that tidal power can pay off.
The conventional wisdom today is that this can't be done because it will never be cost effective. You know, our intent and our challenge is to show that we can make it cost effective. Nobody's tried it.
Since nobody has tried it before, Verdant has forged a new path for everything from designing the connections to the electricity grid constructing the site, and securing regulatory permits.
Every time we turn a corner, there's, just conventional practice does not address what we're trying to do here. So it's got to be tailored and customized, and that takes a little bit of time.
Verdant first began the project in 2003 and expects to complete the initial test phase in 2008. A key test is what impact the turbines will have on the fish population in the East River. Robert Goldstein is general counsel for the environmental group Riverkeeper. The group is usually at odds with business, patrolling local rivers to gather evidence against polluters. But for this tidal power project, Riverkeeper is working with the company to measure the impact on the river's ecology.
It may have detrimental effects. We want to understand them. We want to know them. We want to be able to minimize them. And I think as we've been working with Verdant, we found that they want to achieve the same goals. They want to minimize the impact that their turbines are going to have on the biodiversity. We applaud that, but we want to see it work.
To prove it works, Verdant sank $2 million into this underwater sonar system. The equipment tracks fish patterns to gauge their reaction to the turbines. The results will be provided to observers in real time.
We're natural skeptics, but we think that if they provide us with all the information that they generate, we can come to an intelligent conclusion and determine whether this project is really green.
Experts say tidal and ocean wave power hold promise. One advantage over solar and wind is that tidal power is highly predictable. Studies suggest that tidal and wave could make up 5% of the nation's electric supply in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wave and tidal energy, given proper siting, proper care and design, installation, operation, and maintenance, will become one of the more benign electricity generation technologies known to humankind.
But first, Verdant and others will have to prove it to investors, regulators, and the public.
Initially, the turbines will power this nearby complex, which houses a supermarket, parking garage, and hybrid bus depot. If the project's successful, the plan is to build a 10-megawatt system, which could be enough to fuel 8,000 New York City homes. Stephanie Dew, Nightly Business Report, Roosevelt Island, New York.
Tomorrow, as we wrap up our series, Power Struggle, we'll tell you how one winery in California is saving $90,000 a year on its electric power while making Pinot Noir. Tomorrow is a landmark day for Microsoft. The company's making its new Windows Vista operating system available to its biggest corporate customers. To introduce it, Microsoft's planning a billion-dollar marketing campaign, beginning by ringing the opening bell at the NASDAQ. Tonight, New York Bureau Chief Scott Gervey previews Vista and looks at its impact on the industry and Microsoft's bottom line.
5 years in the making, an eternity in the world of personal computers, Windows Vista is the latest incarnation of Microsoft's ubiquitous operating system, now found on 90% of the world's PCs. Bill Gates personally ordered a rewrite of Vista halfway through the development process to improve security and stability. Most reviewers say the work paid off.
Microsoft has done a great job of improving security, improving controls, protecting users from themselves. But that doesn't mean that it is impenetrable. And I don't think Microsoft is even saying that. But I think that the ability to recover from attacks and to protect against them has certainly gone many levels up.
Vista sports a new graphic interface, at least on computers with advanced graphics capabilities. Older computers will not have the pretty images, but all will have new features. Critics complain many of these are already available on rival Apple's computers, but they will be new to the Windows platform. Also available for the first time tomorrow will be Office 2007, the new version of Microsoft's best-selling application suite. The look and feel of Office has been significantly changed to make it easier for users to find the advanced features of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Some experienced users may be confused, but Microsoft is confident the learning curve will be reasonable.
More than 5 million people downloaded these operating systems and software packages during their development and tested them and gave us feedback on these things. And so we've had a community of people involved in the development of them, and that's how we have a lot of confidence that people are going to love them when they try the final product.
In fact, some analysts believe companies adopting the new Office suite will encourage computer sales for the home.
Consumers are also employees. If they have a computer that they use at work and maybe they bring that computer home, then Office is a big part of the story here for a company or for a consumer who is working for a company. So if you're a work-from-homer, Windows and Office go together. If you have a new version of Office, you're going to get a new version of Windows and a new PC.
As of tomorrow, big corporate clients can download Vista and Office from Microsoft, but most will test the products for some time before rolling it out. Computer manufacturers already have the products and are expected to preload them on new systems by the end of January. Retail boxes for people interested in upgrading should appear in the stores at the same time.
The benefit of that will be more of the consumer cycle, and we'll see that beginning at the end of January. And that lasts about a year or so. Then the small business market, a year, 2 years, and then starting about 2 years, the corporate market really begins to upgrade in a big way to the new desktop products.
Goldman Sachs has an investment banking relationship with Microsoft. Microsoft promises the next version of Windows in less than 5 years, but it has said little about what it will look like. Scott Kirby, Nightly Business Report, New York.
Now let's take a look at some stocks in the news tonight. Once again, the most active big board issue today on 40.3 million shares. Lucent Technologies edging a penny higher. It's soon to be taken over, of course, by Alcatel. Second in volume was Pfizer, moving up 2 cents. Pfizer's going to cut 2,200 jobs, or 20% of its domestic workforce. Company cites slowing sales growth and increasing generic competition. AT&T moved up 68 cents. An A.G. Edwards upgrade on Verizon helped the whole telecom sector move higher today. ExxonMobil on those higher oil prices up $1.87. Ford Motor, fifth in volume, edged 2 cents higher. Quest Communications, a 23-cent gain. General Motors fell 47 cents, but CVS, the big pharmacy chain, up 96 cents. Time Warner, a 15-cent rise. And Bell South, another firm telecom stock, up 79 cents a share. And there you see Verizon moving up 49 cents. A.G. Edwards upgraded it from hold to a buy. And then NYSE Group down $5.45. J.P. Morgan downgraded it from overweight to neutral, partly because of the stock's high price earnings ratio at 30 times earnings. On the upside, New York Times up $1.55. The New York Post newspaper reported that former AIG chairman Hank Greenberg has been buying big blocks of New York Times stock to break the Sulzberger family's stranglehold on the media empire. But after the close, Mr. Greenberg said he only owns 100,000 New York Times shares and has no intention of boosting his stake. The stock dropped about $1 from this price in after hours trading on that news. Mobile Telesystems, this is the big Russian cell phone company, up $3.69. It came in with third quarter earnings a little better than expected, $1.21 per ADS versus $1.26 last year, but revenues were up a very impressive 30%. Fluor Corporation up $2.94. The company has awarded a $2.2 billion engineering and construction management contract for a Saudi Arabian petrochemical complex. Then Tiffany & Company up $2.29. Third quarter earnings nicely higher, 21 cents versus 16 last year, on a 6% rise in same-store sales. Aeropostale, this is the teen apparel retailer, up $1.98. Third quarter earnings 61 cents versus 47 a year ago, 19% rise in sales. Nice move. Manitowoc Company gained $4.12, and company forecasting 2007 earnings between $3.75 and $4 a share. That's well above the street estimate of $3.65. And Talbot's up $1.26. Wedbush Morgan started covering the stock with a buy and a 12-month target of $32 a share. NASDAQ's most active Apple computer down $1, but it traded as high as $93.15. Bear Stearns boosted its target from $94 to $100 a share. Google down $4.85. Cisco a nickel gain, 18-cent rise in Microsoft. Intel 26-cent gain, that was fifth in volume. Then we see Research in Motion down 14 cents. Dell 67-cent gain. SanDisk up or down $1.04. 65-cent loss in Broadcom, and Qualcomm up 80 cents. And finally, Dynavax Technologies surged $2.39 on positive results from a late-stage trial of the company's hepatitis B vaccine. As we continue our look at alternative energy, tonight's Street Critique guest has some stocks she thinks could power up your portfolio. Joining me, Hillary Kramer, market strategist and personal finance editor at AOL.com. Hillary, welcome back to NBR.
Thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here.
In the past, so-called green investment didn't always leave investors in the black. Why do you think the alternative energy sector is booming now?
It's totally different. This is sustainable. Paul, this is about tax cuts, subsidies, regulation. This is a bipartisan issue. Corporations are dedicated and consumers are to the environment and to reducing emissions.
That's certainly in their favor. Let's get right to your stock picks. Starting out with Covanta. Yeah, there it is.
Yes. Covanta, CVA, one of my absolute favorite companies. Covanta is a SAMZL company, which means shareholders make a lot of money. It's about waste to energy. It's taking landfills and turning it into clean energy. So this is one of these future companies we're going to see start to pop and we're going to hear a lot about.
And the stock has done well according to the chart. Number 2 is Evergreen Energy. Why do you like that issue?
Evergreen is coal to clean gasoline. We're going to hear a lot about that in 2007. Evergreen is at the bottom of its chart right now. It's a great buying opportunity as people, especially experts in the area, start to believe that we can really take coal and go to clean gas.
I think your third choice is an ethanol company, and that's Verisun Energy. There it is.
Yes, I love Verisun. VSE, it had a terrific day, up 5% today. What makes Verisun different from Pacific Ethanol, different from Aventine, is that they have a technology where they're not just doing ethanol, but in the same process they can do biodiesel. And so we're going to see Verisun break out and really have some upside on the stock side.
A fourth choice of yours is Suntech Power Holdings.
I love Suntech, STP. This is a Chinese company. It is a solar company, and it's certainly the stellar winner out there in the world of solar. And we're going to also be hearing a lot more about Suntech.
Okay. We have 1 minute left and time for another choice of yours, and that's Tetra Tech.
Yes, Tetra Tech, TTEK. This is a water purification play as well as environmental remediation. This is a value play in clean technology and alternative energy, and I recommend it for those that don't want to take a risk with stocks such as Evergreen, EEE.
Okay, fair enough. Hillary, do you own any of these stocks or have other disclosures to make?
Yes, I do. Covanta, CVA, as well as Verisun, VSE.
You own those two issues?
Yes.
I want to thank you very much for joining us once again, and we're going to see you next month to review how your past Street Critique picks have done.
That's right. I can't wait to find out.
My guest, Hillary Kramer, personal finance editor at AOL.com.
Tomorrow, we sit down with Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer for more on the company's new Vista and Office rollouts. Here's a look now at what's happening tomorrow. On the economic calendar, October's personal income and spending numbers, the Chicago Purchasing Managers Index, and weekly jobless claims. Only a few earnings to report, including H&R Block and H.J. Heinz. And finally tonight, the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus isn't clowning around when it comes to its slogan. The entertainment company is suing beauty product seller Sephora and its parent, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, claiming trademark infringement. The circus calls itself the greatest show on earth. Sephora is basing its holiday sales promotion on the phrase, the greatest gift show on earth. And it's on the company's website, billboards, catalogs, and print ads. And Paul, this suit is no laughing matter. Ringling Brothers is asking for unspecified damages for lost business and $5 million in punitive damages.
I'm sure the lawyers will have a three-ring circus on this one.
You're right. That's Nightly Business Report for Wednesday, November 29th. I'm Susie Garib. Good night, everyone. Good night to you, Paul.
Good night, Susie. I'm Paul Kangas, wishing all of you the best of goodbye.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by
Franklin Templeton Investments. Our unique perspective helps us see domestic and international markets in a different light. Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective.
And by A.G. Edwards.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Watch a tribute to James Taylor. Tonight's great performances at 8, followed by Blue Man Group Inside the Tube at 10, here on OPB.
For more information about investing, you may order Nightly Business Report's home video